Hi, this is Joyce Farrell. Let's continue to talk about the program development cycle. In the last video, you learned that the first step to developing a computer program is to understand the problem. And we talked about the problem of being able to write a program where you have a user type in a value, the program doubles the value for the user and outputs the answer. We then talked about planning the logic to that problem, and we used two tools, a flowchart and a pseudocode, to show the logic. The flowchart and the pseudocode look very similar. Both allow a user to input a value called myNumber. In both cases, you set myAnswer equal to myNumber times 2, and then you output myAnswer and stop the program. After you understand the problem and plan its logic, you can write the code to the computer program. Writing the code means putting it into a computer programming language, such as Visual Basic or C++ or Java. For example, here's some Java code. It looks confusing at first because there's dots and parentheses and semicolons, but basically what these three statements do is get a value from the keyboard and store it in myNumber. The middle statement computes the value of myAnswer as myNumber times 2. This one looks the most like the flowchart or the pseudocode statement. And then the last statement has some new words and some dots, but it outputs the words answer is and then the value of myAnswer. Notice that each Java statement ends in a semicolon because that's required in Java. It's not required in pseudocode or in a flowchart, but Java has particular syntax that you have to learn before you can write this program in Java. In most computer programs, you would add a prompt for the user before the input statement. This one displays on the screen enter a number and then shows two little right-facing arrows to show the user where to type in an answer. A complete Java program would have many more statements in it. You can see some statements before the core part of this program and some punctuation after. But the highlighted part of the screen shows that you prompt the user to enter a number, you get the number, you compute myAnswer, and you output the value of myAnswer. Here's the Java number doubling program with a mistake purposely entered into it. Because you're not familiar with Java, you might not notice the mistake right away, but it's in the last line of code that displays myAnswer. I've purposely left off the semicolon that Java requires at the end of every statement. I've purposely made this mistake because when you type a program, it is very easy to make a typographical error, and I want to show you what happens when you make one. After you understand a problem, plan its logic, and write the code, you're ready to translate the code. Translating the code means using a piece of software called a compiler or an interpreter and taking your code in the programming language and turning it into machine language, which is the 1 and 0 circuitry language inside the computer. For example, one way to compile a Java program is to go to the command prompt and type JavaC, which stands for Java Compile, and type the name of the program. When you press the Enter key, in this case, you get a mistake. It says numberdoubling.java12 because the mistake happens to be in line 12 of the program, and then it says semicolon expected. Well, that makes sense because I told you I purposely left off a semicolon in order to generate this mistake. The error message then continues with the line where the mistake is, system out print line answer is myAnswer, and way over on the right there's a little caret pointing to the spot where Java noticed the mistake. If you understand this error message, you can go back into your program and add the semicolon, and now the problem is fixed. You might then return to the command prompt, type the compiling statement again, press Enter, and this time there are no error messages, and you have a successful compile of the program. The program has successfully been translated into machine language. After you have translated the code, you can test the program, then put the program into production, and then maintain the program. We'll talk about these next three steps in the next video. Thanks for watching.